All right, welcome back to hashtag Become Our Series Stories. I am Dr. Kim Brown Barber, better known as Dr. Kim, and we have with us a fabulous college student today. I can't wait to get to that. But before I get to that, just to remind you, we are here to encourage you, to highlight your stories, to celebrate you because you are fabulous and you are great. And we're here to be able to play a part in your journey. We're here to give you inspiration. We're here to give you information. We're here to give you all sorts of encouragement on your journey to becoming. And we have with us none other than Eyouel Mekonnen, who is a student, a college student at Eastern Kentucky University. Now, of course, we will find out a lot more about this young man. And remember, you heard about him here because you're going to be hearing about him out there a whole lot. So just get ready. So welcome, Eyouel.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. So I'm excited to talk about all of your background today. So before we get started and really get into it, I really want you to let our community and our audience know about you. Introduce yourself, where you're from, what's your background. Tell us a little bit about the backstory.
Yes, of course. Hello, everyone. My name is Eyouel Mekonnen, and I was born and raised in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. I moved to the United States when I was about 15. I moved to a boarding school in southeastern Kentucky, and it was a huge change. The way that I explain Addis Ababa to people is think of New York and
Mm-hmm.
think a couple of maybe 6 to 7 times smaller. So
Okay.
dirty streets, check. You're
Mm-hmm.
walking down the street as someone is yelling. You don't know if they're yelling at you or someone behind you, check. Crazy
Mm-hmm.
cab drivers, check. So
Okay. Okay.
it was a huge city through and through. And
Mm-hmm.
moving to southeastern Kentucky, I remember the first thing that I saw whenever I walked out of the car is we parked kind of like on a hill, and across I could see a bunch of pigs being herded away.
Oh my gosh.
And
Are
I
you
turned,
serious?
yeah. I turned to my auntie who drove me there, and I said, I know I chose to come here, but I didn't think it was actually going to be pigs. I thought they were joking when they told me.
Right, right, right.
But
What an introduction, right? It was that your
yeah,
first time in America coming to that a part of Kentucky?
yeah. Well, I had flown into Dallas because that's where my
Okay,
whole family is, and
okay.
Dallas is also a huge city. I
Yes.
actually remember how hot it was, and I
Mm,
didn't understand the concept of humidity because we don't
yep.
have that in Ethiopia.
Okay.
It's like
Okay.
the equator is like our neighbor. Like you can just
Okay.
drive down there. Not really, but it's pretty close. Everything is
Mm-hmm.
dry heat. If it's hot, you go
Okay.
under a tree, and then the heat's gone. Um,
Mm-hmm.
in Dallas, I remember walking out of the airport, and it was so humid. I ran into the parking
Oh
garage
gosh.
thinking the shade was gonna protect.
Oh wow. Bless
Nope,
your heart.
it was worse.
Yes, it's nothing like experiencing humidity, and definitely you went to where the humidity is real in America, and that's in Texas. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Dallas, Houston, and all those areas. Oh my goodness, yes. Yeah, you definitely are running into the air conditioning right very quickly.
yeah. Oh yeah.
That is amazing. So this is interesting. So the first time getting into, well, you were in Texas, so that was kind of different because it was a huge city, so very comparable to where you're from, even though
Yeah.
it's a smaller version of New York, but still the similarities and the same context. But Kentucky, very, very different than those cities and those areas.
Yeah.
So once you saw that, I mean, did you think like, oh my gosh, what did I just do? What kind of why did I make this decision? Or what were you thinking at that time after you turned to your auntie and said, are those pigs in the background? Am I really seeing this?
It it was a weird hour or two until
Okay.
I met some other Ethiopian men,
Okay.
women.
Mm-hmm.
I say men and women, they were kids. We were 15.
Right.
Until I met them, it was interesting. I did not know. I knew what I was getting myself into.
Mm-hmm.
It came as a shock as to, oh, I'm
Sure.
really about to live at this boarding school. Um,
Mm-hmm.
my friends that I met that day, I still remember, like when I first met them, are still just my community, like until
Nice.
now. And we've
Mm-hmm.
stuck together, and I've really made some lifelong friends there. And if
Mm-hmm.
it weren't for them, if it were not for my community,
Sure,
I would
sure.
not be where I'm at today.
That's it. You make a very important point. Community is very important for your success,
Yeah.
everyone. Listen to what he's saying. So, even coming outside of America, coming in, no matter what, whether you're coming outside of America or whether you're coming outside of another state to another state that you're not familiar with, or even if you're within your own state and you're going into different cities in your state that you're not familiar with, if you're going into any college setting, the key is community. You have to build your community. Even if you are shy, you have to find those people who are like you that you can relate to, and you do belong. And I know we talk about that, and we'll talk about that a little later. The sense of belonging is very important when you're in college, but it's all about the community. So listen and hear what he's saying on that. Okay, so now when you came, if I'm understanding correctly, you came and you were living at a boarding school
Yes.
before you started going to university.
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay. How long were you at the boarding school?
I was at the boarding school for 2 years. So
Okay.
I came my junior year and finished up my senior year there. And then
Mm-hmm.
I started attending Eastern Kentucky University after that.
Okay. Okay. And so, did where you were from, as far as by you being from Ethiopia, did it have a connection or impact because of the standards of excellence? Did it have any type of impact on, you entering university with your mindset? Did it have any type of impact by you being from Ethiopia? Any type of standards of excellence? Were there any of that there?
Yeah. So I think of the impact that my upbringing and my childhood and the
Yeah.
cultural background that I had uh,
Mm-hmm.
as a child. I think of it in the sense of how it impacted me academically
Mm-hmm.
and how it's impacted my activism and how it's impacted,
Mm.
uh, my professional life. Because I
Mm-hmm.
think um, all I can think of when I think of my professional life has been advocacy and activism. But I guess just
Really?
to start off, yeah, to start off with the academic sense. So I am diagnosed with ADHD, and I
Okay.
wasn't diagnosed with ADHD until college. And
Mm.
when that
Mm-hmm.
happened, it made so much sense. Growing up in Ethiopia in
Mm-hmm.
a Black household, mental health isn't really a thing that's acknowledged.
Mm-hmm.
And so everyone would recognize in me and they'd say, how are you so smart?
Mm-hmm.
And you are performing so terribly at school.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
this was all of, me in middle school and early high school as well. No one could really understand why I would start taking notes and
Mm-hmm.
um, between sentences, there would be a couple of sentences that I've skipped,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and it was really seen as just being unattentive and wanting to go out and play after,
Mm-hmm.
jotting down notes and not really applying myself. That's really what I thought was going on as well. And
Mm-hmm.
so,
Mm-hmm.
as far as academically, I think I really would have been much farther than I am now
Mm-hmm.
had had that been taken seriously
Sure.
when I was a kid. As far as the impact that it has um, on my advocacy and my activism, I remember I think I was in the sixth grade,
Mm-hmm.
and I was with my mom, and we were stuck in traffic, I think,
Okay.
and this was somewhere in downtown Addis Ababa, and I remember seeing a kid. He could not have been much older than I was, and he was homeless, and
Mm-hmm.
he was standing on the street outside of a bakery, and he was
Mm.
just staring inside, and I really didn't understand what was going on.
Sure.
And I remember I was like, why is he just like standing there? Because
Mm-hmm.
everyone is walking on that sidewalk, I'm like, he's really causing some. People are walking. I was like, I really
Mm-hmm.
couldn't understand why he was just standing there until I realized this woman came out of the uh, came out of the bakery with, she had bought bread, and
Mm-hmm.
she realized that he was looking at that bread because he was hungry. And so she
Mm-hmm.
took him in, and bought him a bunch of bread. And I just remember
Wow.
him running out and running down the sidewalk and going to an alleyway. And we just so happened to be driving past that as well. And so when we
Mm-hmm.
drive past that, I just caught a glimpse of him just down the alleyway, and he was running to his friends. He was there with a bunch
Mm.
of other homeless kids as well. And
Mm-hmm.
um, when I think of situations that are so just, when I think of a horrible situation, I think of
Mm-hmm.
that homeless kid. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and even in that horrible situation, there's hope. You know,
Sure.
um,
Sure.
I wish it didn't have to depend on the generosity of uh,
Mm-hmm.
men and women to
Mm-hmm.
lift that kid out of poverty. I'm sure that that one bread didn't, but at least it lifted him throughout that day. Um,
Sure.
and
Sure.
even in the most desperate and dire of situations, there's, no matter the case, there's
Mm-hmm.
always there's always hope.
I love it. Oh my goodness. I understand why Regent Castro talks so highly of you. I told you, I'm telling you, community, you're just, I know you're just being blessed just to even hear this, because I'm telling you, I'm being blessed to even be in his presence today. So at a young age, I'm hearing this at a young age, you were noticing that. Now, how old were you again?
I probably sixth grade. No, yeah,
I
that's
don't know too many fifth graders. I mean, I'm not saying that there are not any out there, but I don't know too many fifth graders that are going to even pay attention to and be cognitive. Not that they are not empathizing with anybody, but that they wouldn't even be cognitive a lot of times of even something like that going on. You're driving in the car and you have tons of people, going back and forth and walking from what you're telling me. So it's not like you could just focus on that one person or what they're doing and be so cognitive of what's going on and where they're going and into the alley and what was going. I mean, you internalized all of that, and even till today, here you are now, in college, and you still remember that vivid picture. I mean, that played a big part. So, of your journey. That
mhm.
that played a big part in your journey because it's still impacting and motivating you even today. And I'm hearing that activism and advocacy is part of what you brought from Ethiopia here. And
Yeah,
so that's impacted even your life in your time at university, right? And so
yeah.
you that played a huge part in where you are today. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, definitely,
Okay.
definitely.
Okay. And
Yeah.
so what else plays a big part in where you are today? Because we know that does, but what else plays a big part?
Um, where my advocacy starts, I still remember exactly where it started.
Okay.
I'm only 21, and so I only have so much of my life to look back to. So when I look back to kindergarten, please don't judge me.
No judgment here. They know this community is a no judgment community. So please go on.
But I remember in kindergarten, and I had this story the other way around for a very long time. I
Okay.
thought that I was the one that was standing up for this kid, but after conversations with some childhood friends, I
Mm-hmm.
noticed now that it's the other way around. I was on
Okay.
this swing set, I remember,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm scrawny now, but
Mm-hmm.
as a kindergartner, it was much scrawnier. And
Okay.
some kids came up to me, and I was just a prime bullying target because scrawny
Mm-hmm.
kid. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember, I now remember that these kids were bullying me. They pushed me off the swing, and
Mm.
um, one of my friends in kindergarten came up and um, defended me, and
Mm-hmm.
he got
Mm-hmm.
beat up for it. And
Oh wow.
he could have just sat back and watched.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
and I think that was the first time where I saw, oh, okay, so he cognitively understood
Mm-hmm.
that standing up for me would put him uh, in
Danger.
harm's way and in danger,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
he still decided to because
Mm.
that was the right thing to do, you know.
Wow.
And
Wow. Mm.
yeah, whatever that I do
Yes.
now, I really try to think of that kindergartner friend that I don't even remember the name of. Um,
Mm.
it's doing the right thing is often costly. Um,
Mm.
but
Say that again. Say that again. Doing the right thing. Say it again.
doing the right thing is often costly.
Ooh,
But
see, stop right there. Ooh, just let that sink in. I just need the community to let that sink in. Doing the right thing is often costly, but where's the but?
um, but the cost is often worth the pay. It pays
There it is. I knew you had it. I knew you
off.
had it. I knew you had it. Oh my gosh, that is so amazing. And it's so true. I think so many times, we meaning all of us, right? No matter where you come from, no matter who you are, no matter what gender you are, no matter what sexual orientation you identify with, we all can step up and advocate for each other, not just people who look like us or sound like us or believe like us, but we can step up and advocate. And yes, it could be costly, but the cost is worth it. And I love that. And we need to hear that more. And we need more people like in this world today. So, I appreciate you having that vivid um, memory to even fuel what you're doing today. Now, you had some challenges, so it sounds like all of us, right? Growing up. What were some other challenges you faced while you were growing up, and how did it fuel you on your journey?
I so I always start off when I talk about some challenges that I've faced in as a child and like in college and in high school.
Mm-hmm.
I both of my parents are college educated. They've done very well for themselves,
Mm-hmm.
and I am in just immense privilege for someone
Mm-hmm.
to come from an emerging economy like Ethiopia and
Mm-hmm.
to have their high school education paid for. I've gone to
Mm-hmm.
private school my entire life. I've went to a boarding school for half of high school, and
Mm-hmm.
now I'm at a university in the United States.
Sure.
So I I am as privileged as it can get, and I
Mm-hmm.
fully recognize that no matter the hardships or the challenges that I've faced.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the early challenges was not being diagnosed
Mm-hmm.
with ADHD and
Mm-hmm.
just being seen as that special kid who's always too hyper, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
not understanding that, and not understanding that it's I am not neurotypical,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
um, it'll only become a weakness and a downfall when it's not recognized and when it's not
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
acknowledged. And
Mm-hmm.
man, and I even see this in the States, is a
Mm-hmm.
lot of Black households. Um, there's mental health isn't as uh, recognized and as acknowledged as it should be. And I see some
Mm-hmm.
huge strides that have been made over the like few couple of years, even
Mm-hmm.
years that I've been here. But
Mm-hmm.
I know that the solution, especially in immigrant families, is
Mm-hmm.
drink water, go to sleep, and pray some more. You know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Wow. I think you bring up another good point, and that is mental health, right? Mental health is a part of our total health, the holistic health, right? And I think we miss that. You're absolutely correct. And I think we do find that a lot. Especially in the past, in a lot of African American households, that we would just be like, no, pray, we go to church, and that's important, and that's always going to be important. That should
yeah,
be, for those who believe in that way. But I know that that's important for me. But everybody, has their own belief. But the thing is that it's still something else that we need to do, and we can't be afraid of, and that's being able to get help, for our mental health. Whether it's therapy, whether it's other things that that the doctor is, or the therapist is prescribing. we need to make that step because we are important enough to be able to take care of our total health. Just like we go to the doctor for a checkup, for the physical parts, we need to be going and making sure that we're having that mental checkup as well.
Yeah.
And, and I think it's very important. And even the ADHD that you bring up, it's a learning accessibility. In other words, that impacts your learning in a different way. It doesn't mean that it hinders you learning. It just impacts it in a different way of how you learn. And I
Yeah.
think it's important for us to understand that I don't like calling it disability, whether it's physical, mental. I like to say accessibility because it's very important. It just means that people assess things in a different way, in a different manner. It doesn't stop them from being able to be successful in getting there. It just means I'm going to do it in a different way. It's how. The how changes. It's not the what changes of getting there. The goal, in achieving it. It's the how I'm getting to the goal is looking different, but I'm still
Yeah.
getting to the goal. So we have to keep that focus. But I think we need to make sure that we make everybody aware that, your mental health is important. And as Eyouel has said, that would have made him even further along than he is now. And believe me, he's way he's way further along. Believe me, you'll hear more in a minute. But he's saying that it impacted him. It hindered him by not knowing. So don't be afraid to step out and say, I need help. So now I know you're at university now. You're at Eastern Kentucky University. So how do you like it? What made you choose EKU?
Uh, so the first question, I like it, and I love my PWI. I
Okay.
always say
What's
that.
PWI?
It's a predominantly white institution, and so
Okay.
um,
I
all of
want to
the
make sure
founders
everybody
were white.
knows.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay, okay.
And the reason why I chose Eastern was those friends from high school. They'd gone
Okay,
to EKU, and I had
okay.
actually applied to a bunch of other schools as well. And I just chose Eastern because, well, my folks were here. So
Hmm.
um,
Okay.
I just came here because my friends were here.
Okay. Okay. And that's very, that's it's a very popular way. A lot of students choose that because their friends are going. So that you ended up at EKU. So what's some of your future goals for your journey? What are some of your future goals for your career? Because I know you
Yeah,
have a lot going on. Let's talk a little bit more about that. Let's dig into that a little bit.
yeah. So I'm currently a senior, and my major
Okay.
is English and political science, and just together I just call them pretentious studies because that's all that it
Okay.
really makes you. But
Okay.
I
I
I
love
have one
it.
major for I'm doing a combined 3+2
Okay.
program for my English degree, and so I'll have an extra year of graduate school, and
Okay.
I hope to I hope to become a better writer by the time that I graduate with both degrees,
Mhm.
and that's my
Mhm.
goal.
Mhm.
And my professors have instilled this in me from the very beginning, from when I
Mhm.
joined the English program. Is don't be scared that you're going to start working at Starbucks. If you do, it's okay, but
Mhm.
that's not all that there is for English majors.
Exactly.
English majors can write,
Mhm.
and that's a very valuable thing because
Yes.
um,
Very.
not because people can't, but because people hate writing. You know,
Exactly.
and if you can write concisely, effectively, and without passive voice, I think you can really find a job almost anywhere.
I would totally agree with that because you're right. A lot of people do hate writing. So being able to have that skill set makes you so marketable. So
Mhm.
I love that. So now, how does your major help you while you're in school right now? You're doing a lot of different things. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
What you're
So
doing.
this academic year, so 2020 and
Mm-hmm.
2021, I've had the great privilege, and it's really been the biggest honor of my life. I've had the privilege of serving as EKU's student body president and student regent.
All
And
right.
thank you.
Yes.
It my political science classes, like last semester, I was taking a public administration course,
Mm-hmm.
and every week the modules that we would take I would just like be in the week and I'd do my homework on like
Mm-hmm.
Tuesdays, and it'll be a Thursday and I'm in my office and I'm at work and I'm like, how am I gonna how am I gonna fix this
Mm-hmm.
problem that we have on our operating budget? Oh, that's right.
Mm.
I just did this homework on Tuesday about public finances, and there's been a couple of
Wow.
weeks that it's lined up like that, and I see my uh, political science major directly applying to what I'm doing now
Mm.
because it really is. It's people say that student governments are set up like mock governments,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't. I think that's an inaccurate description. We
Okay.
really are. We function like a government. Um, for a lack of better terms, the people that I work with are bureaucrats,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know anyone who, in their right mind, would pretend to be a bureaucrat if they weren't actually one. You know,
I love
so
that. I love it.
yeah. But my English degree. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking a Shakespeare course this semester, and
Nice.
I have learned from half a semester of Shakespeare more about politics and more about politicizing and interacting with
Mm.
people than I have in 4 years of my political science degree. It's yeah,
So,
it
okay,
really
I'm gonna
helps.
have to stop you right there because I know my community, our community has to be asking, huh? How has Shakespeare, I heard you guys, okay? How has Shakespeare influenced you politically more than 4 years of your poli sci major? Tell us that. We have to know how
Yeah.
that is.
So my poli sci major teaches me, or at least attempts to teach, the what and the how of
Okay.
politics. So, what are the gears that are turning, and how are they turning?
Mm-hmm.
And occasionally, well, I guess the 101 classes would be the what. What are the gears
Mm-hmm.
in this
Mm-hmm.
machine? Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I think what
That's good.
those classes in like my English classes where I've had to like Shakespeare or had to
Mm-hmm.
read um, you know, there was a class that I took. It was titled English 312, but it was
Mm-hmm.
the Romantics era, and not
Mm-hmm.
romantics isn't like flower love romantics. Romantics is the period,
Sure.
and that teaches me the why people do what they do
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
how they do what they do, and so
Mm-hmm.
it. I feel like I've learned the motivations of
Okay.
people
Mm-hmm.
from these classes, and we like to think we're a lot different
Mm-hmm.
than people from, I don't know, like 1550. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
we are, but not really. We're
Mm-hmm.
still
Mm-hmm.
motivated by the same things. We
Mm-hmm.
want to achieve the same things.
Mm-hmm.
So uh, I'm an oddball in that. I understand 100%, but I think it's really taught me a lot about politics.
No, I think it's great. And I think I would say that it's unique and it's very forward thinking because to be able to um, interpret and be able to pull out and dissect to apply to what you're doing today from something in that century through a writing class of Shakespeare is amazing. It's totally amazing. And I think it's very thought provoking and useful because it also teaches you that I see critical thinking, and critical thinking is a very big skill to have. So I think it's great. So you've done all these things and all of the pieces for you have been lining up, even with you being a part of the board of regent in the student capacity and all of your classes being able to help you, even being on the board of regent. So let out of your classes, college students who are listening, out of your classes you can find usefulness for them if you're open to it. Look for it because it sounds like EUL is looking for it and applying. So you're a senior. You said you're a senior and you're getting ready to graduate in a year. So will you be a first gen graduate? And if so, has this applied pressure for you by being a first gen
Um,
graduate?
I'm not a first gen graduate. Both my
Okay.
parents were went to college and have
Okay.
multiple degrees. And
So
um,
that's helpful, right?
yes, I'm super, super thankful for the path that they had already charted. And so
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to create that path. That path was already created for me. And I am very thankful for that. I know that there's certain pressures associated with coming from or not being a first gen student,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
which is, by the way, in no way can be compared to being a first gen student, but it has its
Sure.
own pressures of
Sure.
if
Talk to me
you
about that.
yeah, if you drop out of college, or like if you don't finish this program,
Mm-hmm.
then it's like you're letting your family down in the sense that
Mm-hmm.
you're not carrying on the legacy. And
Mm-hmm.
that it it doesn't compare, I will say.
Yes.
I want to be
Yes.
very much so like on top of this when I say it. It does not compare to the pressures of being a first generation college student,
No
but
doubt.
it is a pressure
But
by
it's a
itself.
pressure. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I totally agree. First generation students have a whole lot of pressure because they have no one that has, paved the way that can support them and understand what they're going through and give them direction and guidance to, okay, this is what you need to do. All those hidden curriculum pieces, this is how you need to do. Oh, financial aid. No, this is how you handle that. Talking with your professors. No, this is how you handle that. All the different pieces that are the hidden curriculum pieces is what I call it. They have no one to go back and talk to and get direction and guidance and support from. But there's still a pressure. And I'm glad you're showing and pointing that out, that even if you're not a first generation student, you still have pressures. And those pressures are still something that we need to address. Being able, feeling like you're letting your family down because you didn't graduate. That's a big pressure. Feeling like, oh my gosh, I am, I'm nothing, because if they could do it and I couldn't do it, what's wrong with me? Going through all of those things in your head and knowing that it's nothing wrong with you, but we have to be able to see, what's your path. Everybody's journey is different, right? And so we know college is not for everybody, but then post-secondary is for everybody. And that's what I say. And the reason why I say that is because post-secondary can look very different. Post-secondary can be going to community college and getting an associate. Post-secondary can go take a class and get a certificate. Post-secondary is something after high school that you're doing to be able to specialize in something, even if it's being a mechanic and being able to go to the school for a year, or take classes for 6 months and get a certification and doing certain things so that you can say I specialize in whatever the pieces are. But the key is that you do have to just find your journey and be able to finish that. So you're senior, you're going to graduate in a year. How special is that going to be for you and your family? And I understand you said 3+2 or 3+1. Talk to me about that. What is
yeah.
that?
So the 3+2 program is something that EKU has, Eastern
Okay.
Kentucky University, to where you can, if you sign up and kind of pledge, I guess, to be
Mm-hmm.
to finish off your master's at Eastern, you can take three graduate level courses while
Mm-hmm.
still being an undergraduate, uh, like an undergraduate student. And
Mm-hmm.
so it shakes out to be 3 years of undergraduate school mixed with 2 years of graduate school. And it just comes up to be 5 years in total, to where you'll be able to shave a year off.
Wow.
Um, and it really helps because
That's amazing.
you're able to take graduate level courses with undergraduate tuition for that
Mm-hmm.
1 year that is combined,
Mm.
and that's a huge money saver.
Yes, it
So
is.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think that's fabulous. I love the idea, and I think more universities and colleges need to look into that, because it helps to maximize the dollars that we're spending in post-secondary, and the student is coming out with a whole lot more in less time. And like you said, it's a motivator. Definitely would be a motivator for me. So I love that. So you're graduating with your master's
yeah.
in 5 years time, and so that is phenomenal. So I already say congratulations to you already for
Thank you.
that. so you can see the light at the end of the tunnel now. But I mean, while you have been in college, has being a minority been a challenge for you? Like you said, at your predominantly white university, has that been a challenge for you anyway?
Yes.
Okay. This
Uh,
is, we like to talk real on this show, right?
yeah,
Because we can't
definitely.
help anybody if we're not, we can't help other college students who may be in your situation if we're not. So talk to me about those challenges.
Yeah. It's tough being uh, one of the few Black kids in
Mm-hmm.
like your lecture hall or like the
Mm-hmm.
seminar. Uh,
Sure.
like in my Shakespeare class, I'm the only am I? Yeah, I'm the only Black person in there.
He's like, wait a minute,
And
let me see.
I had to think of the people that sit
Right.
behind me for a second.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
but it's like people don't like we'll talk about Shakespeare and
Mm-hmm.
I think there was this TED talk about this guy who was talking about hip hop and Shakespeare, and as soon as that was brought up,
Mm-hmm.
like I can notice a couple of people like would turn and look at me. I'm like, yes,
Mm.
um, I understand what's happening here. I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
that you value my
Mm-hmm.
insight, and that's why you're looking towards me. But
Mm-hmm.
like, come on, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Yeah.
and like, of course, that's like just one instance of something that I can make a joke out of and make light of.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that there are um, much more difficult
Mm-hmm.
circumstances that you're put in being at a
Mm-hmm.
predominantly white institution and being one
Mm-hmm.
of the few minorities is the outsider feeling
Mm-hmm.
creates
Mm-hmm.
um, an
Mm-hmm.
imposter syndrome.
Sure.
Like you're not
Sure.
supposed to be here.
Mm-hmm.
You you don't really fit in. These people are
Mm-hmm.
looking at you differently, and even if they
Mm-hmm.
are, or even if they aren't, that's not what matters. What matters is you're thinking that, and as long as you're
Mm-hmm.
thinking that, it's
Mm-hmm.
a valid thought.
Yes,
And
it's your reality. Sure.
yeah, yeah, it's one thing that we've been fighting for. Like, or we've successfully made our vision and our mission in student government is
Okay.
making sure that we have equitable infrastructures uh,
Mm-hmm.
so that
Mm-hmm.
we can really make sure that students succeed, um,
Mm-hmm.
not because of the good graces of professors or staff
Mm-hmm.
members
Mm-hmm.
or other faculty, but because of that well-constructed and equitable infrastructure that ensures
Mm-hmm.
that every student gets the same opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Can't promise outcome. And
Sure.
that's something that I see with like a lot of my progressive friends is the outcome is not the goal. The
Mm-hmm.
goal is making sure that the machine is producing um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
what it needs to produce at equitable standards, making
Mm-hmm.
sure that output A has the same opportunity as output B. Uh,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I know I'm talking in like very theoretical terms right now, but
No,
um,
this is good.
yeah, like I don't need, if I have to spend an extra 20 minutes on the internet looking for resources
Mm-hmm.
for African American students,
Mm-hmm.
like resources of support on campus, um,
Mm-hmm.
then that's 20 minutes of injustice
Mm-hmm.
making making its way through our campus and declaring for itself victory.
Mm-hmm.
That it's wasted 20 of my minutes. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and so I don't know where I got started with this point, but here I am.
No, no, that's perfect. No, you're good. You're good. You were really starting to break it down about the infrastructure, having more equitable infrastructures, and I think that's important. And I think and it's very interesting how you actually poised it because you talked about not the outcome, but you talked about making sure that the machine is equitable, right? That all of the machine pieces and the infrastructures are equitable so that success comes, right? That success is possible, but not promising that, but making sure it's equitable, right? So that everybody has that fair chance. And so I appreciate that. And I think it's really important that every opportunity should be an equitable opportunity for all, right? And so that way everybody has that chance so that it's not like, well, this person has that chance because they have more money to get more, to get better resources, and the other person doesn't have the chance because they have to, be able to just kind of stumble on it because they don't have the money to get the resources. So I totally understand where you're coming from there. So you kind of talked about some of the challenges, and what that looks like. So my other thing is, while we're talking about challenges, it has been very different for everybody during 2020, right? And now 21. Um, has COVID-19 impacted your challenges in getting through college? I mean, Zoom classes, does it make it harder or easier for you?
For me, my personal experience has been Zoom classes are one of the toughest things
Okay,
that I've had
that's
to
fair. That's fair.
endure. Um, I also want to throw another preface. Uh, I have a computer to be on Zoom to complain
Hmm.
about, and I
Okay.
have good enough internet to attend enough
Mm.
Zoom classes to complain about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Our service region at Eastern Kentucky University is Southeastern Kentucky and Eastern Kentucky. Um, a lot of students don't have
That's right.
reliable internet at in their homes. They don't
Mm-hmm.
have a computer that they can have
Mm.
Zoom on, or
Mm-hmm.
the computer that they have. It really can't handle opening Zoom and a word processor at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
I recognize that I am complaining on a pedestal of privilege.
Mm-hmm.
I
Sure.
always want to make that like
I
a
appreciate you
characteristic of
recognizing
my
that.
resume.
That's wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah. But so the challenge that's come, it has been with having ADHD. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
what most people like think about is I can't sit still, and like I
Mm-hmm.
fidget, and like I have energy off the top of my head, and that is true, but that's not
Mm-hmm.
the complete picture.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard to stay motivated and stay on top of classes,
Mm.
and accountability is a huge thing in
Mm-hmm.
like the foundation of how I function. And um, when before COVID, um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the the embarrassment of not having an essay in hand when your
Mm-hmm.
professor is collecting it around the room,
Mm-hmm.
that alone would get me to sit down and finish that darn
Mm-hmm.
paper. Uh,
Mm-hmm. Motivation, right?
yeah. Now, if I don't feel like writing my
Mm.
paper, uh, I just don't open my email for a week, and my
Mm-hmm.
professor is
Mm-hmm.
gone. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yes.
so yeah,
Wow. Good
that
point.
social fabric, like the social accountability, is
Mm-hmm.
really just
Mm.
I don't know where it went. It disappeared,
Mm. Mm.
and I can't wait until all of my classes are in person, and
Mm-hmm.
I have to hand my professor a physical copy of my
Mm.
homeworks,
Mm.
uh, and
That
that's
is
really
such an
been tough.
excellent point.
Yeah.
Yes, very good, very good point. I love that you even recognize that. I know some people have been thriving through, the Zoom
Yeah.
classes, but I know that a lot of people have not. They have had a very challenging time with it. So, but you bring up a good point about how and why it would be even better because of the social accountability. I'm liking how you're connecting that with that. So hopefully soon, a lot of universities are looking at fall being face to face for most universities and colleges. Hopefully that will continue to be um, the goal, and that a lot of the students can get back to face to face. So I know I hate to be coming to the end of this because I'm having such a great time. I mean, time is flown and it's like, oh, I gotta close. But what would you tell other college, what would you tell other minority college students out there about reaching their goals and their dreams?
um, don't give up would probably
Okay.
be my big statement is
Mm-hmm.
uh, because it gets tough is why I
Mm-hmm.
say don't give up. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
the tougher the roads are, the more hurdles in your track. Um, at the end of it, I promise it will be like all worth it. And
Mm-hmm.
I haven't reached the end of my college career as well. So, me speaking this, I hope I don't jinx myself. I
You're
probably
not.
won't,
You
but
won't. You've got greatness in
it,
your future.
it becomes challenging,
Mm-hmm.
especially being
Mm-hmm.
a minority, wherever you are. It doesn't matter if
Mm-hmm.
you're at a historically
Mm-hmm.
Black college or college institution. It doesn't matter if you're a predominantly white institution.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's challenging
Mm-hmm.
because um, in political science classes they always say when the framers constructed this, when the
Mm-hmm.
framers of higher education constructed higher education, we were not
Mm-hmm.
in their minds.
Exactly.
And so they measured their curriculum with with a measuring stick that
Mm-hmm.
did not have us in mind.
That's right.
They set policies and regulations um, that did not have in mind and did not take into account the needs and the opportunities of Black and brown boys and
Mm-hmm.
girls. Of
Correct.
And so a challenge is it's a given. It,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
not multiple, at least one, I'm sure. If
Mm-hmm.
someone has
Exactly.
had no challenges in college, please let me know because
Yeah. Me
I'd love
too.
to hear your story. But
Exactly.
it will really pay off to just stick through it. There are people in college, wherever you are, I'm sure, that want to help.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes, they'll seek you out and
Mm-hmm.
they'll really be open to it. But in the case that that doesn't happen, seek them out because it might be one, it might be two people in the entire
Mm-hmm.
institution, but there are people there that want to champion you on and that want to be in your corner, and that want to cheer you. If anything, just cheer you on as try to jump over these hurdles.
I love it. I love it. And that is so key. Being able to not give up, being able to understand that there are some people somewhere on your campus that want to champion you. If they can't find you, you find them, and don't be afraid to ask for that mentoring. That consultation and advocacy. So I love that. Thank you so much for that. So where do you see yourself in your future journey?
I'm very open to wherever the wind will take me.
Okay. All
But
right.
I really do want to work in a nonprofit organization,
Mm,
only because of their why is
mm-hmm,
they're not doing it for profit, um,
mm-hmm,
and preferably somewhere that focuses on giving women access to education,
mm-hmm,
and whether that be the entire mission of the organization or
mm-hmm,
whether it's like a component of what they do. That's really
mm-hmm.
what that's what I would love to do.
Oh, that's wonderful. So everybody, you hear that, that's a big thing. You will definitely hear his name again in a great way, because I know and I can see greatness on you. And so I expect to hear more, and please stay in contact with us. So one of the things we asked as we end is, who would you tag as the next hashtag become a story? What college student would you tag?
Uh, what are the requirements of these college students?
Well,
What would they have to do?
there is not a requirement.
Okay.
It's who you see that has maybe gone through challenges and really has overcome them and still on their journey. Because it's all about the journey to becoming. That's why we name it like it is while we're all on our journey, we're actually becoming. We're achieving that greatness. We're starting to be able to see the parts of us that's already been there, and they
Yeah.
start to realize the dreams and the goals that are coming forth. So you can tell, believe me, our hashtag becomers like yourself, they cannot be denied. You can tell them, you can spot them from across the room.
I will probably have to tag um, uh, someone who has been one of like my closest advisors and have had the privilege of working with them over the past year as well, and really the past 4 years in my college career. And his name
Okay.
is Nick Koenig. and he currently serves as the executive vice president for Eastern Kentucky University Student Government Association.
Okay.
And when I think of great students,
Mm-hmm.
I think of Nick Koenig. So
There you
I'll
go.
have to tag him.
There you go. See, that's what happens is immediately when I say that, it automatically helps people to think of that person. And so that's what we want to do. We want to highlight your stories. We want to celebrate you. And so don't forget, we are here to do that on this platform. Tell somebody about it. Subscribe to the channel. Don't forget about subscribing so you can hear lots of these different very inspiring stories, because not only are we celebrating you and highlighting you, but it's encouraging someone else in their journey to becoming. Don't forget, you can follow the movement on Journey2, that's number 2, becoming.com. And then we have Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and our own YouTube channel, which you're seeing us here. So check out that website and you'll be able to follow the movement. We would like to thank Eyouel again for joining us. Thank you. You've been awesome. And we wish you well. We know that you're going to do great things. Thank you.
Thank you for having
We'll
me.
see you guys later. Bye-bye.